This is why I won't take clients who are needing of investment advice or are recently got out of the market because of nervousness or something like that. I just had a call with a guy, nice guy, but he had gotten out of the market in March or February or something like that, and he wants to get back in because he has FOMO, fear of missing out. And I said, dude, I can't take you as a client, no way, no how. And I could tell he's kind of taken aback, and he was, almost like offended. I get it, man. I violated my protocols. I have this specific way to make sure that I just violated him. It's nuts. It's my fault. I should have known better to make sure I understand, the clients I'm potentially taking on first, because I want to avoid situations like this at all costs. If someone just got out of the market last March and they're wanting to get back in and they want me to help them, nope, not touching that 10-foot pole. I'm going to share with you the reason why here in just a second. Not touching that 10-foot pole. If someone needs specific, asset allocation, hey, I'm already in the market. What do you think about the asset allocation? That's one thing. But if someone's like, look, I'm not in the market because of the market crash, because I'm nervous, I'm like, well, now the market's up, 100% from where you got out when you're nervous. You're going to be, don't you think you'd be even that much more nervous? No way. That's way, look, man, I got scars that have healed over. Not really. I still got open scars from that, open wounds that I'm not playing with. So let me share with you this. This is on the Investment Advisory SEC site, and you can type anybody in who's a broker or a registered investment advisor. You could probably type my man Dustin Tibbetts. I bet you could, and he'll come up with Jazz Wealth. So here's me, Joshua Scanlon. Says 15 years of experience, 6 firms. It's not 6 firms, it's 2. I got more than 15 years, but basically go back 10 years. So I worked 10 years at USA and 5 years at Legg Mason, which became Smith Barney, and then I think Wachovia or something like that. So it says 6 firms. Had a guy posted my YouTube channel. Josh changes jobs every 2 years. No, I don't. I have in 15 years I had 2 jobs until now. But the reason they put this firms on there is because anytime they change the signage, that's a new firm, which is stupid. All right, so let's click on the disclosure and we'll see. Customer alleges that his account assets were frozen after USAA was notified of his pending divorce. And USA failed to release such assets after customer asked for the release, and that accounts were liquidated without the customer's consent. Customer alleges that actions resulted in a missed business opportunity and financial loss, and USA granted his request he requested $33,000. USA granted his request of $20,000. Notice there's no one else's name on here except for me. That's it. All right. So USA it's a nuisance law or nuisance post here, and USA says I'm going to go after these guys, and USA will settle it in my behalf. I'm sure that's what this guy is saying, and he's right. He's right. The problem is it's not a nuisance for me. My name is specifically named in that. I had nothing to do with this, nothing. But yet he named me specifically. So I talked to a couple of attorneys. They both said the same thing. Is once USAA approves it, you're screwed, dude. Yeah, but you could spend $20,000, $30,000 to fight it. But the minute USAA grants this guy's request for arbitration, i.e., they're going to pay him out, now you got to fight USAA and this guy. Not only do you have to prove that this guy, you had nothing to do with it against this guy, you got to prove that USA should never, and how long is that going to take? And so I'm stuck with this freaking dispute on my record for the rest of my life. It's nuts. I remember even after this, I was like, when I first started my business, I was like, man, I'm just nervous because I wasn't making money. I said, man, I'll go to Ed Jones or something. I'm pretty good at sales. And they wouldn't take me. They said, oh, you got a dispute on your thing. We can't take anyone without a clean record. I was like, I can't even get a job at Ed Jones. Crazy. Nuts. And anyway, the issue was this guy, we were doing seminars up in, we went to, me and this guy, Rich, we went to Manhattan, did a couple, Westchester, West Point, and then we ended up I think it was a 1 week trip in Long Island. All right. And we had a huge snowstorm, so they canceled everything for our seminar. So basically we had a couple days to kill before we got back on the plane in Newark. And so the back office just set up some appointments for us. They said, oh, just go get this Regis office, so temporary Regis office, if we can set up appointments for you, at least you won't be wasting your time there. So that's fine with me. Anyway, so this guy came in, and he said identical what this guy just today told me. He said, man, he'd been out of the market since 2008, and it's like 2013. I said, whoa, why'd you get out? He goes, I just got nervous. I said, well, what are you trying to do? He goes, I want to get back in. I need some growth. I miss an opportunity. I said, so for 5 years, you were sitting tight, and now all of a sudden you want to get back in. He's like, yeah. And I said, well, the only way to get growth is stocks, or real estate. There's no other way around that, but I don't know anything about real estate. I do know about investments, and I think investments, if you're trying to get growth, that's the way to go. But recognize that you already got out in 2008, which would lead me to think that you might not be ready to take another decline. He goes, no, I'm over that. I said, okay. And I didn't make any investment recommendations. I never do. I said, well, if you want to be growth, you got to be in stocks. So, and he picked out some mutual funds or something like that at USA. And that was it. End of story. Go back to Texas, because we're still living in Texas. And I get a call about a year later from the back office. And this guy would call me on occasion, just, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Nothing fancy. Just, hey, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? Because I was this wealth manager. Once you hit $1 million in assets, you get assigned a wealth manager. And that was this guy. I said, yeah, man, he was just running some ideas by me, and I said, yeah, it makes sense. About a year later, I get a call from my assistant. We had assistants back then, and he said his wife was calling, just mean as a rattlesnake. Apparently, they were going through divorce, and she wanted to make sure that when he called to try to separate his accounts, that all the money was held, because they're going through divorce proceedings, and she didn't want him to take money that was rightfully hers, and blah blah blah. And anyway, the next day, sure enough, this guy calls me saying, hey, I want to move he didn't even let me know that he was going through divorce, but I already know because there's a big alert on his account. So I was like, dude, Joe, I can't release these assets until we get the divorce decree. And he was mad. And I said, look, man, let me talk to legal, see what we can do. And legal said, don't ever talk to this guy again. We'll take it from here. All right, so that was like 2013 or 14. I said, okay, cool. Then I proceeded to move down here. He was no longer my client. Someone else up in New York transitioned to him, and then that was it. All right, so then we come back to I quit USA in March of 2017, and come April 2017, I'm served as arbitration. A FedEx thing was sitting out the front door. I'm being served an arbitration dispute from this guy, me and USA. So it's a three-party thing. It's USA. He's going after USA, but naming me as well. And USA is like $20,000. We'll just pay this guy to go away. But I'm like, but I had nothing to do with this. And I had all the emails. I had every bit of proof you could possibly imagine to prove my innocence. But it doesn't matter. The arbitration committee, USA, said, we just want this guy to go away, so we'll pay him $20,000 as I just showed you. And I'm like, okay, but I don't agree with this. And, well, you can either agree to it or not. It does not matter. If you don't agree to it, you're going to have to take it up against USA and this guy, and that's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and you're probably going to lose because USA already agreed to it. But I'm like, I literally had nothing to do with this. I got the freaking receipts. It's crazy. So I don't have any money. So I was like, well, I'm not going to fight this because if I lose, I'm out that money, and I still got the dispute. It's crazy. Freaking the little guy gets screwed by Wall Street again, or whatever it is. That is Wall Street arbitration panel. And all because I happened to talk to this guy about investing. And it had nothing to do with the markets going down. It just had to do with the fact that he felt USA didn't liquidate his accounts quick enough. And actually, he was right. He was 100% right. If you look at the emails, you're like, dude, USA hired an outside counsel was just, the whole thing was just a nut. It was just nuts. I'm like, man, I can't believe. So I'm holding a wet bag. Of course, USA, no one at USA is named specifically, just me. So USA is a corporation. They don't give a crap. That's not an individual. But I, as an individual, am screwed. Anyway, and this happened a lot with USA. I had a couple good friends of mine who USA did real bad by, and they sued USA and won millions of dollars. That made my heart melt. I was like, thank good Lord. But anyway, so long story short, I'm like, I can't. If people are nervous about the markets, that is a road I'm not willing to travel down again. No way. And what I mean by that, if people got out of the market and they said, Josh, I just got out because I was nervous. What do you think I should do? I have no. And that's what I told this guy. I said, man, I got no idea. I can't help you. Because I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I know I couldn't even get a job at Ed Jones because of this disclosure on my thing. I said, I'm not touching the 10-foot pole. I'm not getting anywhere near offering investment advice. Now, if people have the Wellesley and they're like, hey, man, I'll have a discussion about that. But no way am I offering investment advice. Especially people got out of the market in March. I'm telling you, I've been in this business a long time. People who got out of the market in March are nervous Nellies for whatever reason. I'm not saying they're bad people or anything, but they see the market going up. Now they want to get back in. If you're a budding financial advisor, you better stay away from that. There's nothing but bad that can happen. So think about it. I get out of the market in March because I'm nervous about the markets. Now the markets recoup the losses and they're up 100% from where they were. And I want to get back in because I'm missing out. I'm like, well, why are you not more nervous about the markets? You see what I'm saying? Dan, if you're a budding financial advisor, man, you've got to watch that because one of three things is going to happen. The market's going to stay flat. The market's going to go up, all right? And then every time the market goes up, the guy's getting more and more nervous because he was already nervous about the markets when the market was down. If you're nervous about the markets when they're down and then they go up a lot, you're inherently going to be more nervous. So now you're dealing with a guy who's more and more nervous as the markets rise. Ooh. Or the markets go down, then he's going to hold you accountable. He's like, man, I should have never got back in. Why didn't you freaking tell me not to? You're the expert. And you're like, well, you can't win in that regard. I'm telling you, budding financial advisors, that's a no-win scenario. And again, I'm not saying this guy, look, I'm not even saying this guy's he might be the nicest guy since sliced bread. I'm not saying, I have no idea. But there's no way I'm touching that 10-foot pole. Because there's only risk to me and there's no upside whatsoever. In fact, the irony of it is, and I don't need to share more, is that I should never have taken on to begin with. I won't get into why, but I knew. I said, man, I just knew. I've been around this block a long time, and you develop what's a radar? I don't know, or a defensive mechanism to protect yourself after you've been screwed a couple of times. And look, I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients over my course of my career, and just some you just get a feel for, man. You get a feel for, and that might be wrong, but when it comes to the markets, if people are jumping out when the markets are down, and then they want help to get back in, man, that scares me to death, because that just says, for me as the advisor, even if I'm not making specific recommendations, the market's taking another 30% decline, who do you think is going to be held accountable? It's going to be you. It's going to be you. Don't go down that road. And anyway, so if you're looking to hire me, and if I don't even know how to say this right, but I want to be clear. If you're looking to hire me, be advised, I am not big on investments like do this or do that. No way, no how. You know who you are as an investor better than I do. And if you've been able to ride it out, then you're going to be fine, no doubt. If you've been jumping back and forth or looking for the next big Tesla or the next big Bitcoin, I'm not your guy, because I don't care. My investments are quite simple. Index, and that's it. Low fees, index, and stay in there. It's literally that simple. I got nothing else to offer. I want to be very, very clear on investments. I'm not even saying you should buy the index. I'm saying at the end of the day, stocks are up and down. Bonds are quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Not very risky, depending on the type of bond I get you, but you're not going to make any money either. And of course, cash is liquid, but you'll lose money relative to inflation taxes. But for those who can take the volatility of stocks, hey, I'll have that discussion with you. For those who I need to have more safety, the stocks aren't it. But that's the extent of my investment recommendation. How are you going to deal with a 30% decline? If you got out in March, all right, now the market's up 120, 150%. Whoo! The market easily go down 30%, and now you're off from where you were in March. You jump back in. Now you're below where you were in March because the market got crunched again, so you're over 2. Hope this helps, my friends. And this guy's probably watching. Look, man, I got no hard feelings to you, none whatsoever. It's just my experience, man. My experience dictates this, and with that said, there are many other people, Garrett Financial Planning Network and stuff that can help you. That's not my area. All right, we'll see you guys. All right, Pablo.